Hey everybody, I'm going to make a super short video tonight because I really don't have any time. But I just wanted to share something. I listened to music for like 3 hours today. I had to take a 3 hour drive and round trip total 3 hours. And I didn't have a Bluetooth for a while. My Bluetooth in my car had messed up. So I stopped at a gas station. Oh my God, the clouds parted. I found a cord to actually like connect, my phone to the car and listen to music. And God, music is so therapeutic. First off, even that felt like a revolutionary act because so much of my life being like the DJ in the car, my own car, when I'm driving my own car as I'm the passenger, just DJing for anyone else in the car besides me, myself, and I has been like an anxiety attack waiting to happen because I'm always like, oh God, nobody wants to hear this song. People are going to think this song is dorky. And it doesn't matter. The people are like my best friends, boyfriends, ex-husbands. Seriously, like anyone besides myself when I DJ, there is a part of me that's like, oh God, why do I always like the weird songs or whatever? I like second guess my taste in music in my own vehicle, knowing damn good and well I have excellent taste in music. And so for the entirety of this 3 hour trip, I listened to exactly what I wanted to with zero F's given or whatever. Incredible. In the comments for Passive, a Perfect Circle, great song. In the comments section, somebody was like, oh yeah, this song helped me through my divorce. Somebody else said, oh, I'm going through a divorce now. And I'm like, here I am in the midst of a divorce as well. And there was just a lot of comments about life and how the song helped them get through like whatever particularly hard times in their life. And there were so many comments, several in fact, that were like, yeah, well, those were the good old days way back when. I wish it was like, then when I was in high school or when I was 20 or when what's that Bob Seger song lyric? I wish I like didn't know now what I didn't know then. It's just like that kind of longing for the past and like the innocence of the past because now and now like the proverbial shit has hit the fan or whatever, and you're just like wallowing in the stinky aftermath that is life. So like music therapy is a huge one. Just listen to what you want to listen to. And that's been huge too, because it's taken me a long time to get back into music because music was like really like triggering for my addiction. But also, I just wanted to say for like people like still like struggling in the comments, like looking back on that youthful time or whatever. Just a reminder, like there is going to be a time in the not so distant future when this moment in time, right now is going to be the past. And if we are lucky enough to live long enough to look back on the present when it is the past, we are going to say, as we always seemingly do, that, that this time was the good old days. There is going to be a time in life when right now is like the good old days, And that's terrifying in a way because in terms of like world events, but when you look at it for yourself, I think it's kind of empowering because, it's just like Eckhart Tolle says, the power of now. There really is only the now moment. That's really what I've been working on with trying. It's absolutely like a constant, almost battle to let go of the expectations or like my desires and like these longings for the goals and the life that like I want, and just kind of like drop the future from my narrative and kind of remove and try to filter the future from my mind. And they say like anxiety is living in the future and depression is living in the past. And I guess it's because I've always been, I don't know, like an optimistic, depressive person. I've never felt depressed, but I've always been kind of cynical or just like had a lot of like anguish going on in my own little privileged mind. So I've never felt particularly depressed, but I've always been incredibly anxious, and I've always been in the future, like what I want, what I don't have, what I'm going to do when I get to like, whatever, it was always like the future. And the future was sold as like the ultimate, diamond. Like so much could happen. And then I just lost it. I never really like, it's taken me decades to kind of work on retaining that hope that was lost when the future turned out to be like just right now. Right now is the future, because there is no future. But if you're going to look back on this moment at some point and be like, wow, that's when I was driving down the road listening to music. That's when I was like 10 years younger or whatever. You can like harness this power of right now. The future doesn't have to be like the past. It wasn't great. You really weren't happy then. I don't know. Maybe you were. I wasn't. I really wasn't happy in the past. That's one good thing about my high school experience is I'm not one of those people who like lives in high school, because I always absolutely detested and hated everything about my high school experience. But it is easy to say like, wow, those were like such innocent times, but we were stupid or naive, or we didn't know something maybe that we needed to know. And youth is so overrated. Like the only special thing about being so young is just having your youth. And like, that's not even necessarily more beautiful. That's just like as we have found out, like for an absolute fact, that's just like some like perversion of some fucking horny ass rich geriatric piece of shit, predominantly white, predominantly male, not exclusively, I don't guess. I mean, no, not exclusively, but it's just these fucking people, the big club and you ain't in it. They have set this fucking warped ass, like dead end road of a looping school of thought where it's like, like youth is somehow beautiful, and like all these standards that are absolutely either impossible to attain or like only seen like in hindsight or whatever. It's bullshit. It really is. Like now is all there is. And so like listen to music, and if you're like absolutely stuck in your trauma, which is like the past, the pain of the past that you haven't been able to process is the trauma of the present, or like whatever painful or gut wrenching or whatever event or set of circumstances that you have not been able to process, and harness the power of that pain and turn it into the strength that you have in the present moment. That's just like your trauma that you're carrying around. And no wonder it feels like you have 1,000,000 pounds on your shoulders, because you do. It's just the weight lives in your heart instead. But write it out seriously. Like that's like something that's really what I wanted to say. Listening to music is great. Trying to be like present and not worry about the future or the past, that's great. But really, like what I wanted to say tonight was write it out. A lot of my songs that I had listened to are also about addiction, or can be thought of as addiction songs or recovery songs, or like wallowing in the throes of addiction, whatever, addiction, and like, all the spectrums. That's why, as I said, it's so hard for me. It took me a long time to be able to listen to music and enjoy the music that I enjoy, because it was so triggering, right? But with addiction, and also just like with traumatic events, truly the thing that has helped me, like the actual act that has helped me, if you cannot let go of your trauma, your pain, the past, whatever, write it the fuck out. Like it can't be a coincidence. I love it when words are like that, when it's like, I don't know. I can't think of one, of course, but like write and write, it's like write it out to correct the story of your fucking life and get out of the pain of your past. And like when you write it out, it's literally like I felt like certain things that were just embedded in the fucking cells of my being were purged onto, the proverbial page. I wrote it out like on pen and paper, but also typed it out, and they both worked. And I swear, when you're done, just keep writing for no one but yourself if you want to. Just get it out of you. And when you actually do that, it will be out of you. And having that distance and that space from the event, from the fucking old ass story, right? You can kind of look at it through a more objective, like almost like third party lens. And it doesn't have to be part of like, this cloak of pain. And you can look at it and say, wow, that's a lot of strength, or that took a lot, or I gained, this wisdom from it, or I wouldn't be the person I am now, or where I am. And, or if it wasn't for this and the event, or the worst things, and that's always the case, like the absolute worst, hardest, most difficult things get us to, the place that we are, which is like hopefully like a wise, compassionate person who can actually like get from A to B in life, and not be that person who's just wallowing in whatever shit that you have crawled out of. That takes so much strength just to live through it, but also like to live beyond it. Living through whatever is just kind of the luck of the draw, if you like make it out on the other side, like with a pulse. But to live like beyond it and actually harness it, that's everything. That's growth. That's how you grow. That's how we grow. And, when people say, oh, what's the point of it? That's the point, growth, karma, however you want to look at that, to create, negate, or transmute, this energy that we carry in us. We carry it it's in our bloodlines, literally. It's in our cells. It's in our lineage, these patterns and these circumstances. And because of that we carry in with us in our cells through birth, it makes us more susceptible to having like a perspective of a lived experience. And a lot of times that leads to some pretty dark past events and some pretty dark roads. And, if you find yourself just like constantly living in the pain of that existence, and you're just like, you've lived through it, but you're not alive, get the trauma out, like write it the fuck out. Seriously, like write it out. I didn't know, why I wanted to start journaling. Like I'd always been someone who like wanted to keep a journal. I thought that was really cool, but it was just like everything else that I saw people do. For some reason, it didn't register with me that I could do that I could be someone who, oh my God, kept a journal. What a crazy thought. And so I wasn't one of those people, it was just like, that was something cool that some other people did. And then it was like, wow, why am I doing this? I keep having this nagging feeling to keep a journal. What is stopping me? Why am I stopping myself from staying up one evening, taking, devoting some time to starting a journal? And it was one of the most magical, beautiful, transformative events of my entire life, because I felt it. I felt it when I went to bed, and I felt it when I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh my God, what else can I get out of me? I had decades, 30, mid 30s when I actually began to write it out. I had all this stuff I wanted to say, and it can be like, one little thing will be like a breadcrumb to like the story of your life, or one event. It's beautiful and it's magical. So like, just write it out. It is such a beautiful way to purge the toxins, and it will change your life. You have a good night.